Good afternoon, Shankar here. Actually, Raja, I am the one who is actually standing behind this crowd and lunch. So there is if you are familiar with the Tamil text, there is a Thirukural which says, I will give you the translation, but it says, Sevikku unavillada poludhu vaitrukkum siradhu iyyapadum. In other words, only when you are not fed with valuable information, you seek food. So hopefully, the next 80 minutes and falling will keep you engaged. First of all, Dr. Priya, distinguished management and leaders of NIIT Stack Root, thank you for giving me this opportunity again. Good to see you all. And my dear distinguished and eminent architects in the room, feels like home to talk in front of you. So between Nishit and Raja, they have set the context. I love the session on data economy and also catching up on the trends. But where is Raja? He actually broke my rhythm because my slide has a lot of bullets. So I need to catch up with you in terms of how to avoid bullets. And the other confession that I have to make is this is a topic, as I was telling Dr. Priya, this is a session that I would have preferred to do it over 6 hours, 8 hours, hopefully locking you guys all in a room. But here I am with 17 minutes. There's a lot of things that I would love to share, but here I am. I'm going to, you may find me flying over some of these slides. Please allow me, I would love to share, but we can always catch up offline or after the session if you have any questions. So let's jump in. Familiar things that we are doing, all the speakers and Dr. Verma laid it out. This is a very familiar world. This is how our day begins. Maybe this is how our day ends, including that 1209 that he was referring to. So we are familiar with handling data. We are big believers of data as the asset, and now here we are with the influence and the advent of AI moving towards data products. So I am assuming some of you are familiar, most of you are practitioners, but please understand I need to cover the entire audience. So therefore, I am going to start with the bare bones of what is a data product and how it is essentially influencing everything that we have been doing, and that we have to definitely get to know how to leverage its power. So the goal is very simple: turn passive data into active and actionable value. So why now? We know the answer. Our management, our clients, even if you are selling into products, selling some products, definitely we need lot more insights into our markets, buying patterns, etc. So we naturally, with the crashing prices of hard disks and extraordinary processing power, we tend to collect data and then we will worry about what to do next. So from that perspective, what are data products? So this is a very formal definition of what it is. So this is essentially a reusable, discoverable, trustworthy data assets built with interfaces and business logic. It's a very, very loaded statement. So as you sit through this session, I hope I can do justice in terms of demystifying some of that. But the goals are very, very important. So I want to draw your attention on the bottom part of this slide. So one is, as we build these products, one, it should be ready to use. So you cannot hold on to the business or the insights away from the business and the decision makers. And likewise, it has to be curated, it has to be well managed. You will find these definitions coinciding with what we define as a product. That's the whole essence. That's how the name data product comes into play. So how are these different? We have been talking about data pipelines. All of you in this room and your extended teams are dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. So is this different? Are they same? Are there overlap? Yes, it has both. So first is, traditionally we are very quite familiar with this setup. Two-dimensional tables, then you have free-form tables, then ETLs, dashboard. These are designed for delivery. They are still in vogue. These are supporting businesses on their criticality, but nevertheless, these are oriented towards delivery, not really around consumption. So from that perspective, data product differs in the sense that it is first of all puts the customer first in terms of how it would be consumed, what is needed or what is expected out of such a delivery mechanism. And second is, it is built, managed, conceived, maintained, supported like a product. So what are the goals? Again, to reiterate this, because you will see some of the models that I will be talking about how to architect a data product, again revolving around this, because I don't want to lose the end goals of this. So one is it has to be, the insights has to be scalable. Second is this has to be reusable across teams, both technical teams and as well as business groups as well. And likewise, this sets the foundation for AI. That's the topic that I intend to cover. So AI powered data products, but I want to set the context around data products and then move into the role of AI. So we are all familiar with the applicability, usage, including challenges around data mesh architectures, but this is also one critical component in terms of moving and evolving our clients and businesses into a data mesh powered architecture. So from that perspective, these are essential for what we have always strived for, inculcating and driving the data driven culture and also infusing that product like thinking into the enterprise rather than just using the data as an asset that you are just storing as archives. So now let's set the stage for what is the role of AI in such a setup. So one is the discoverability, second is in terms of quality. These go in tandem because when you are aligning these data sets, when you are curating them, when you are deploying these models in terms of processing the business logic requirements, what is important is also about the fact that one, we may not have all the data that we want. The algorithms will suffer, it will find the gaps as well. But what is also important is in terms of the finding the gaps, doing the gap analysis, procuring the necessary information, and as you deploy these models, these have to be scalable, they have to be easily discoverable as well. So the discoverability here is very important. We are talking about insights being discoverable to the businesses. How we do things in terms of managing these data assets is what we are going to find in terms of building these data products. So the role of AI is across the spectrum of a data lifecycle and how we manage it. So what you see here is I have tried to lay out in terms of the different phases of an architecture and as well as the operations in a data enterprise and how the AI is essentially infusing and fundamentally changing the way we have been thinking about data management. So right from data ingestion and preparation. So first of all, in terms of data collection, data classification, curation, providing that early view to the business communities is where the role of AI starts today. And likewise, when you go through these processes, the discoverability of data, the faster time to market as we always been calling, that is becoming real because the businesses cannot wait for your algorithms or your processes, long drawn processes to finish, but the faster that you provide, ensuring that you are able to deliver these insights to the businesses, that's where the real value is. And likewise, it also enables some of the newer features that we as architects in the room are exploring and deploying today. For example, introducing feature sets and building a feature stores as well beyond the data marketplaces that we are intending to build. So in so many ways, the data product delivery and monitoring, this actually sets us the foundation. Dr. Pramod talked about observability being one of the key focus areas that we should focus on, but you need to have that embedded as part of your architecture as you start to build these foundations for those things to succeed. So next few slides, I'm going to go a little deeper, hopefully technical, in terms of how do we architect a data product. So one is definition. This is the most important aspect, often overlooked. So in essence, what problem are we solving? Let's ask this existential question in a seeming way. What decisions or actions will it enable? So you're actually thinking from the business or the end consumer perspective when you are striving to build this product. So there are many examples that you would see. In the interest of time, I'll focus on how to build, and then you can catch up with me along the way. So second is the overall mindset. Don't look at this as a project and a delivery. Look at it as a product. Product has clearly defined definitions. You need to know your market, where it is going to be consumed, and how you are essentially making this baby steps in terms of building this product to cater to that need. And likewise, in terms of when you pursue in this journey, you should not let go, or you cannot be sidetracked in terms of your core design principles. I will emphasize this more in the future slides as well, but clearly defining, identifying, and also managing all these different core components of the architecture is very, very important in this journey. Now, the design principles are how we thrive. We are always the stickler when it comes to these kind of design principles. Often our management or even our clients have differences of opinion around that when we start to enforce this. But again, it's very, very important. It's what keep the product design and as well as the health and hygiene of these data products as they come to life alive. So from that perspective, domain orientation, discoverability, the interoperability, where you are not just building for one line of business. In fact, it's the other way. As you build, this should be extensible, this should be composable to even multiple lines of businesses as well. These are core design principles that we need to adhere to. The productionization mindset and as well as the data mesh architecture. Is a data mesh architecture applicable to all the different business scenarios? The answer is no. But however, you are thinking into the future, as Dr. Verma was talking about, you are looking into the future of unknown, and then you are essentially approaching this as a building foundation. And as we do this, always our goals are performance, scalability, and as well as cost management as well. In the AI era, while we are all excited about the supercomputing powers of AMD chips and likewise NVIDIA chips, cost is a very, very important factor because it can go out of control. And the guiding principles in terms of any kind of management, all the distinguished speakers before me talked about dealing with sensitive data, working for clients who are regulated around these expectations when they run this organization and specifically data enterprises. So from that perspective, compliance, meeting the regulatory requirements are an absolute need. And likewise, as we build these components and as well as the foundations for building a data product, what is also important is you are thinking at it, looking at it from observability and as well as feedback mechanism as well. This is one of the most important aspect in the data product build and as well as rolling out. There has to be a cyclical process around getting feedback because the business would want to essentially chime in on what they are consuming, and there could be gaps as well. And this is the way we improve the health and hygiene of what we are building. So let me quickly go through the case study. In the interest of time, I will have to set the context and then just to touch on few components. So this is for a pharmaceutical major. It's still a live engagement for us, and the situation that you see in terms of challenges, you are all dealing with it in some fashion or the other. Siloed organization, data is fragmented, lot of gaps, business is not happy, ROI is being questioned, infrastructure costs are high, you name it, they had it, they still have some reminiscence of it. And the challenges that are listed as bullets, mind you, is just a short list of a long list of problems. So from there we started. So this is again very deep into the pharmaceutical domain. So from that perspective, we have been dealing with quite a lot of data sources. The foundational data products still guide this client in terms of running this business and maintaining this business. But what you also see is in terms of how we started to move towards classifying. So this is essentially one of the end points of the classification exercise that we did, moving into the journey of building a data product. This is how essentially the high level architecture looks roll forward to today. So here you have clearly called out different zones of building this product. So one is the sources identification, but most importantly, we built 3 layers. So one is the foundational data product layer. Second is the integration layer, which is where much of the magic cooking happens. And then essentially the consumption layer, which is essentially the analytical product that we are delivering. There is a heavy infusion of cloud platform technology. In this case, it is AWS. Then the cloud data warehousing technology that we are using for this client is Databricks, and exposing some of the most amazing work around Unity catalog part of Databricks. But you also see in terms of how even that building that enterprise data catalog itself is essentially enveloping how we intend to build and deliver this data product. And this is again further detail. It caters to a wide variety of needs. It caters to healthcare professional, healthcare organizations, for example. And then here you have even some third-party providers who are essentially interacting with this client and consuming data on the reverse as well. So this gives you a view in terms of how deep the architecture has been laid out from the cloud platform perspective. Please allow me to fly through this. I won't be able to do justice here. And this is essentially the observability and as well as essentially the production rollout phases that we had rolled out. Again, these are core components. I will just conclude with the architecture slide with this. the enterprise data catalog that we are talking about is essentially one of the powering mechanisms of this entire data product build and as well as rollout as well. So in so many ways, the enterprise data catalog build refines itself, where it essentially gets the feedback mechanism and all the definitions, hierarchies, third-party information, sensitive information are also enriched along the way. So now, in the interest of time, what I want to do is, while I talked about pharmaceutical example as a case study and as well as one product build, the role of AI and specifically in the data product build is not restricted to domain, obviously, and here are some of the other use cases some of you might be implementing, but we find a lot of synergies and interest around these as well for us. These are various programs running in several stages. This is specific to BFSI, this is around healthcare and as well as retail. So the next section I will quickly talk about the role of AI and then conclude to take any questions. So in terms of key considerations, so are we just sprinkling AI on top of the data product build? No, please don't do that. That will head to a multi-pronged disaster both on the AI innovation side and as well as your data product build as well. So what is important is in this journey, understand first of all, do you have adequate understanding of the business objectives that you are shooting for, and clearly define, document those outcomes for that is your essentially your guiding part of the journey. And second is involve cross-functional teams. This is again a different mindset compared to how we have been doing in the past, but over here right from day one, make sure that you infuse and involve cross-functional teams because they are needed absolutely, as you will find in the next few slides. And remember, what is quite popular these days is essentially rapid prototyping and as well as iterative development. Please follow the same mindset here because it will give you a lot more inputs and even if need be course correction as well as you go through this journey. And of course, the trust that is essentially placed on data product will be defined, the future of it in terms of usage and as well as the viability is all defined in terms of how valuable these business insights are, what kind of value that it is essentially delivering as you go along. So what is the value proposition in this journey? So that you are very clear, you are keeping that in the corner of the eye because this is a huge investment. This involves change management in the way not just architects operate but how the entire organization revolves as well. And I also talked about involving cross-functional teams from day one. So in so many ways this actually it changes the way we have been operating. So in so many ways you will be facing your management, if not already, questioning what is essentially the ROI that I can expect, what kind of value that we can expect out of investing in this model. So the acceleration of investment from starting this journey of a data product is around how you incrementally deliver value. That's how you have to show the value. Don't hold these programs for long where you open the screen and you deliver toward the end. And in so many ways you will find that some of the ways in which we have been operating is also influenced or changed over here. So from that perspective you will find in terms of justifying that this will essentially provide you or unlock newer revenue streams. So sorry I'm rushing, but I just want to leave you with these few thoughts. We can definitely continue the conversation in after the break. Thank you so much.
Okay, time for questions. Do I have any hands? None?
Session before lunch.
There we go.
Shankar, very great presentation. Wanted to hear your thoughts around the use of AI in generating the data catalogs, because I still see in many organizations that's the hardest part. You need humans to sort of build that catalog, and your rest of the pipeline is as good as the catalog. So would love to hear your thoughts around usage of AI in auto-generating catalogs and maintaining the quality of it.
Can I have your name, please?
I'm Arnab.
Arnab. Thank you, Arnab. Great question. Yes, it is hard. You characterized it by prefixing it right. So the role of AI and generative AI specifically around building catalog doesn't stop with the build. I know what you meant. It's a refinement and an ongoing process from what I see. So one is the role of tools, some of the tools that I had mentioned along the way in terms of what we have been introducing for our clients in this journey of building enterprise data catalog. So at least what I see is there are 2 or 3 influences around building and refining the enterprise data catalog, which could be leveraging generative AI today. One is the exposure of all this language model and also introducing this generative AI to make the existing data assets accessible through API or through direct interfaces, or even like the interfaces that we had built for this client. So that's the first part of the journey. Second is, if you are trying to refine this only with the definitions and the hierarchies and also the business context that is available within the interface, most often it's very, very limited. So therefore, you are caught between these 2 worlds. So you need to have external data assets or intelligence, I should say, to essentially introduce on top of your existing assets and refine. Then the question is, when you're banking on the external data assets, there is a potential of the learning essentially to be bidirectional. So you have to figure out a way in terms of using this language model, but containing with what is possible within the enterprise. What I am seeing, at least the conversations that I've been part of, what I see as a common practice is you introduce the businesses to essentially provide the feedback on the catalog that has been exposed to them. So that way the curation takes the precedence over influencing or introducing external data assets. It's a long drawn process, I should admit, but that provides a lot more credibility or accuracy and refinement over a period of time than other models. At least that's the one that I've been exposed to. Hopefully it answers.